Howdy doody, everybody. Whoops, we don't need. Oh man, Isaac. Already out the gate. We got some technical difficulties. Guys, be right back in a hot minute. Alrighty, guys. Technical difficulties. We have my man Yitz, aka Issac Klein, here with me today. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It happens. The internet, all the things were just too powerful. It's because really my man Isaac is here with us today. The internet can't take it. So I'm not gonna steal my man's thunder, okay? But we have an amazing guest here today, and I just want to get as much time as possible. For those of you guys who are watching on Instagram, for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, I want you to hear from my man Yitz's mouth what we're talking about today, or really I'll give you the highlight, but I want Yitz to give you kind of context on who he is, what we're going to be talking about today, and we'll just go through the subtext or really the topics. But from the top, really, if you guys have not read the title, Yitz has gone from corporate to a $1 million agency, and that is a tough thing. My man has been hard at work for several years, being an extremely successful in corporate. We'll talk a little bit about what that looked like, and really, even though he could have stayed, made a ton of money, he decided to go on his own, kick ass, and do what he's doing today. And I was joking with him. I was like, man, you got to show the audience the rest of your house. This might turn into a Cribs episode. But anyways, Yitz, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Life is really good.
Awesome.
No complaints.
I'm glad. No complaints at all.
Yeah.
So really quick, again, before I give you the baton, because I know we're gonna go a lot of things. For those of you guys who are watching on Instagram, because I know there's about a few hundred of you watching over there. If you guys want to join the conversation, the comments, getting your questions asked by Yitz at the end of our sort of interview here, come over to YouTube, comment YouTube in the live chat to come over and get, or really to just get an automated DM with the link associated with this live stream. Okay, so Yitz, give us some background. Who are you? What is it that you do? Where have you come from? Let's get some context to the audience really quick.
Yeah, I'm Issac Klein. A lot of people call me Yitz. That's what my mom called me growing up, which is short for Yitzhak. In Hebrew, it's Isaac. So I do go by Yitz. I'm from Kansas City, Kingdom. We're Chiefs fans for sure. I don't live in Kansas. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm like an actual legitimate Chiefs fan. And they're going to do, a three-peat this Sunday. So if you don't watch football, maybe you'll tune in and see how we do there. I have been in sales for eons. I think my first job was at this, or was it a Waterway? So it's like a St. Louis based company, and they had one over in Kansas. So Kansas and Missouri, it's like it's a border state. So it take me 15 minutes to get over to Kansas. And at this car wash, you go through the car wash, and then there's these people that would like dry it off, clean the windows. I did that for like a week, and I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So I asked them, hey, can I be like the SC, the sales consultant, the guy that you pump your gas and you go and harass them and ask them, hey, do you want to get a wheel deal? Like go through the car wash and we'll put tire shine on, clean your rims. And that's really just where it started. Because then I had a friend that asked me if I wanted to work at Ford. There was a job available there, like in the detail shop. Same thing happened. 6 months goes by. I'm like, I want to sell cars. I see these guys in fancy, Escalades, like the finance guys. And I just kept begging them to let me, give me a shot. And I've got all these tattoos. So I had to wear a suit and tie. That's what, my general sales manager said. You'll have to wear a suit and tie if you want to, be a salesman here. So I did that for 6.5 years at Ford, and I moved down to Florida and ran a business development for Mazda. And that's really where like online stuff started for me, because I had all these leads that come through. Like I get on Wix, and I would follow up with them, and I was in charge of the team that we had. There were 6 of us, making sure they were following up, having them come in, finding units. And that was such an adventure, because there's this misconception, this idea that salespeople, cars especially, are just really shady. But I learned so much about how to relate to people quickly in person and online. It was just a wild thing. And I was also really young and made a lot of money and had probably too much of a great time. To be honest. And when I moved back to Kansas City, I found this job called Home Advisor, and I worked there for a decade. I worked my way up. I was a senior executive there. It's, one of the largest online lead generating companies out there. I mean, there's obviously like Google and Yahoo and stuff like that, but for their trade, they are the biggest. They're had $1 billion contract with Google. So that's where I learned SEO and how to build a site and how to manage. I had 1,700 clients all over the country that I dealt with. I sold them leads, did their websites, helped them brainstorm on marketing and stuff like that. And so when they acquired Angie's List, I shortly after that had to go out to Indianapolis and help train people that they wanted to keep from Angie's List. And shortly after that, it just wasn't really resonating in my spirit to work there anymore. And my wife is an influencer and an artist, and I wanted to help her get that off of the ground. So I left there, and my son was 2. He spent from like 2 to, till he went into kindergarten with me. So I wasn't trying to start this business. I was trying to support my wife, and my dad's, he's no longer with us, but he was a master craftsman. So I actually know how to build furniture, and I built custom stuff. And so I would, when we started that business, we would get furniture for like really cheap. I would fix it. She would paint it and do Facebook Live. She's got tons of followers. She's like Facebook famous, Instagram, all of that stuff. So that was my life. People started asking me to build them sites, and I just started getting so many of them that I had to get, business license and register and all that stuff. So this wasn't the actual plan. But I think me being open to the unfolding and not so much like, hey, I want to be a millionaire one day. I've always wanted to have a lot of money and be able to have good influence over people, being able to help them, I try to do that as much as I can. But you'll find though that when I was my last year at Home Advisor, I made over $200,000, right? And we had a lifestyle, and that was great. Cashed out 401k, lifestyle changed when we started a new business, right? Then you ramp back up, and no matter how much money you make, you're still in the same situation, right? You just need to be happy and content with who you are, right? And present in the moment with people and clients. And so that has sustained me during all of this. The last 7 years that I've had, Klein Design websites, just being more about the clients versus the project. Of course, I want the project to be awesome, but that's where, subscription-based pricing really propelled me, right? I watched the Design Joy guy, did all of his training and all those things. You know, it's a different field, but I was just interested in what he said. Charging somebody $6,000 a month for unlimited um, designs one at a time, I'm like, that's beautiful. How can I do that for like maintenance? That's like when I started charging people $85 a month for maintenance. And then when you get 117 of them on your books, you know, you're doing pretty good, right? And there's these times during the year, like around November, December, where I'm getting murdered from every angle. You know, my Slack is like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that I would do unlimited content updates, which is just like text and images, but man, that's, you know, days of work, even if you're super fast. But that's why I use Wix Studio. We've got content mode, actually show them how to do that. And then it ends up, you know, they don't ask for a whole lot throughout the month. It's actually kind of shocking how many people will spend much money a month and not say anything to me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive into some of the specifics, because now we're getting to basically very close to present day, and I want to still backtrack to just because we talked a little bit about the early days of your business. First of all, you kind of fell into it. You wanted to leave. And actually, I didn't even know about this. I thought it was a specific, I'm leaving corporate because my side hustle is blowing off, or blowing up rather. But rather you were like, I'm done. Gonna help my wifey. And you just kind of fell in with your skill set to this thing. People kept coming back to you. And I kind of want to get into, because now we're talking about like, you're starting to climb up and tell stories about what day one looked like, and a little bit after day one. But day one is confusing. You just happen to have a skill set that people are coming to you about to help them with a problem that you can solve. And as you were talking about, Design Joy kind of got up in there. If you guys don't know what Design Joy is, as Yitz was mentioning, it's a guy who basically sells subscriptions for, as he's talked about, month. You guys look it up, okay? I'll put the link in the description. We're not gonna, this is the Yitz day. We're not talking about Design Joy, but something that got you started. Frameworks, basically. On your day one, you needed to create processes because everything's messy. People are coming to you. You don't have processes unless. Do you think your corporate experience from processes, all that stuff, and if I'm not mistaken, you were an executive, correct? Like, we didn't even say that. My man was an executive at this in corporate. It wasn't just another regular, not saying everybody's like a regular, but he was very high up in the corporate ladder, leaving that to pursue something else. And so tell us a little bit about the day one. What were the things? Did you immediately know, like, okay, I'm solving people's problems, I need to put processes in place? What did that kind of messy beginning look like? What did you instill first?
No, it was terrible, honestly. The first like 2 years was, you know, just, it was rough, to be honest. I didn't have processes, right? I was building WordPress sites for one, for like the first 2 years. And then after that, I found Wix because somebody was already on there, and I decided I'm just going to go for it. It can't be that hard, right? And I can charge somebody, you know, $600 and do a site in like 2 days. No big deal. But I started to get so many that I really just, the only thing that saved me is that they really liked me, honestly. Like, I communicated with them. That was like my saving grace, that I was a salesperson in the past. I never thought in my head, like, I had like a whiteboard that I was like writing my stuff up on, like a checklist and stuff of, that's like how I did it. It was so messy. I didn't use a CRM or anything like that. Man, and that really, I thought I was going to stop. So my old work every year, they would reach out to me and ask me if I want to come back.
Yeah.
And that got harder because I was looking at, okay, I got 12 projects right now. And I'm like, wait, did I put those in the right order of when they actually booked? You know, I was like in that headspace every day. It was not good. Yeah. What got me to the next level was creating my own system. If I didn't have like a foundational system, like an onboarding for them in a process where they book, once they submit that, they get an automation email sent to them. That's an onboarding form. When they're done filling out that actual form, they get sent to my calendar for an onboarding Zoom call so they can see me and we can just discuss it. We can share screen. We can look at different projects, different sites, get some idea for designs. And then that's all recorded with an AI program. So I don't have to take notes. They don't have to. It gets emailed off to them. And I know exactly where to go with them. And then I'll use monday.com for project management. So I have every stage, like from onboarding to wireframe to design to launch. And each project's going to be different, but taking that time to set that up was, if I would have done that from day one, I would just be managing this business. I wouldn't be actually doing anything, you know?
Got you. So a big thing, what I'm hearing is a big thing for you is organization of the process that you can manage versus, but I think it also takes time. So, because you had to learn what kind of worked, what was smooth for you, what you understood in and out, so that then later you kind of put it, and you would call this an SOP basically, right? The standard operating procedure, so that someone else can follow what worked for you while you were starting your business from scratch, that you can pass on to somebody else and just manage them doing the process that you know works well. Right. And what I, now that, because everybody's process looks different. Now that you are managing people, how are you making sure that they follow? Actually, that's gonna jump too far. I still want to stick to. I got questions myself, guys. I'm forgetting that you guys are here. I'm thinking this is just me, and yet I'm like, I have questions too. Anyways, we'll leave that to the end for myself. But how would you suggest let's say this is somebody else's 2 years in, and they are trying to put together their own SOP. What should that entail if they're trying to build a business like yours? You mentioned yours entailed an onboarding experience, what the process of wireframing, the process of the design phase, and then also the launch. How should somebody put that together? What is your advice?
Yeah, so I would say the easiest way, and the first program that I used was Trello, right? So you can make cards of like in progress, or I'm sorry, like onboarding, in progress, and then your different tasks. So you can move the project into different cards based off of where you're at in the process. That's the simplest way. That's like where I actually started.
Got it.
With so Trello, like it's very simple. Yeah, you can put due dates on different things in there too as well on your cards and things that you enter in there. And you can use it for free too.
Awesome. So basically, It's not like a list of things. I think what I'm hearing, and it also just it makes more sense visually. If you guys don't know what Trello is, hopefully you guys do. If not, it's awesome that you're here, so you do know what it is. But it's basically a visual board. Go ahead. Yeah.
I basically had to. So I'm actually like one of those people that I couldn't very well like explain something to you, something that I'm doing, because I honestly have like really loud music. My Bose speakers are like going. I'm listening to like EDM or like country music, whatever. Like that's the environment that I've worked in for a long time. Like kind of chaotic, like fun. Like that's what I'm going for. So I'm just like working. I don't know what I'm doing, honestly, sometimes. Like how'd I do that? So I had to like do a project and break it down. Like, okay, when I first started, I put together the wireframe, which you can use Relim to do, or actually in Wix Studio, great one for you now with that AI program. I used that just the other day. That was awesome. But I would have to do a project and take careful notes on my process because it's different than yours, Brandon. I don't use like Figma. I build it right on in the editor. I don't do the design stuff and like map those things out and then put it on there. Like I'm trying to move faster than that, so I'll build it,
Yep.
Real time in there. So I had to be patient with myself and remember, like, okay, I'm taking notes on this, and I've changed that process, a couple dozen times.
Got you.
Yeah.
So first step, build a process that works for you so you can eventually put it together and be able to ship it off and manage somebody else. But I think first steps first, build a process for yourself. You're going to constantly refine it over time. I think we all do that. Let's move into, and ladies and gentlemen, I also want to say, I know this right now is the It's and Brandon show, but if you guys have questions related to, because this is why we do it live, if you guys have questions related to the things that we're talking about at the time, please feel free to join the conversation. Where my eyeballs are going to try to shift back and forth between Instagram and YouTube. But if you guys want priority in terms of the things that you're asking and want me to relay to Yitz, because we're going to be prioritizing YouTube, again, if you guys just popped in a little bit late on Instagram, comment YouTube so that we can give you the automatic DM to YouTube or the YouTube live stream, and we can communicate there with you guys. Okay, so let's talk about the client side of things. So we talked about mastering yourself, like what is your process, cleaning yourself up. But day one clients, obviously you had a skill set and some people were coming to you. But let's talk about actually actively pursuing clientele outside of the people knowing that you're good at what you do. So you're a salesman at heart. That's your first primetime skill set. How did you, because everybody does this differently. I'm really interested to see what your first handful of clients, how you attain them, and kind of relaying that process to people who also might be doing day one or year two in their agency journey.
Yeah. So, like I said, for me, I wasn't trying to do this, and just because of what I did before, I got very fortunate to Merrill Lynch laid off a bunch of people here in Kansas City. And one of them happened to be one of my friends, and he was going to start his own business, get his own office and stuff. And I built his, but because I did a great job on that first one that I ever did for somebody like privately, he told somebody else, hey, I just got my site done. So I've been working off referrals for the last 6.5 years solely. And it just has kind of snowballed. I've gotten, my wife being an influencer, and I build creative sites. That's why, the domain name is creative sites. So I did like a lot of furniture painters and influencer sites and just a lot of e-commerce stuff. And they would tell other people, their friends, like, hey, Isaac did my site. He's super nice. So just building the relationships and word of mouth. But word of mouth has been amazing for me, but it can only go so far. And my account manager, I guess it's been longer than 6 months, maybe like 8 months ago. She was like, hey, you should really take leads from Wix. I'm like a legend partner in there, and I don't use any of the stuff ever except, to bug her instead of call customer service. I would email her, call her, or text her,
Right.
But when I started taking leads, like I see something different, I guess, than other partners do. Because I'm taking website guidance, and maybe because of my personality and sales experience, I'm turning that into much larger projects. Just explaining.
Can you unpack that a little bit? Because I feel like we did a huge jump, and I'm trying to like fill in the gap of a leap we just did.
Sorry.
So we talked about, you mentioned legend partner. We talked about you're taking projects, or Wix is handing you projects at this point. What gets somebody to legend partner? Just give the context of everybody. Like some people here are familiar with Wix and Wix Studio, but some people might not be. So what is a legend partner? What does one have to do to be in that bucket?
So you have to apply and get approved, which I hear takes some time to get approved. And then once you're approved, every site that you have that's in your name that you upgrade will give you either 100 points if you're like a co-owner. If you're the actual owner of it, then you'll get 300 points. When you hit, I believe, 5,000 points, then you're a legend partner. And that gives you your own account manager, you get revenue share. So like on like, wait, I think it might start at 2 years, 1 or 2 years plans, you get like 30% of whatever it is that they pay for it. And they pay out like pretty stinking quick. Like, I don't even think about that money though. It's just like, you know, just the cherry on top, which some months it's like a whole house full of cherries, you know, which is nice. Nice surprise, but I don't like count on it. It's not, you know, whatever. The benefit of it honestly is the account manager. And like when you have one, Wix's people are insane. And I've actually had other partners that they don't have the same account manager as I do. And I've had multiple ones. I probably am lucky. I've got really great ones, but I have done things for them. Like their account manager's not responding or whatever. Like, well, I'll just ask my account manager to do it, you know? So I've had great experience with being a legend partner. Totally worth it. I actually did take some leads a long time ago, and honestly, they were trash back then, but I didn't do it the same exact way. So maybe they could have been good.
And can you explain to somebody, because I know what you mean, but I'm trying to pull it out for everybody. When you say take leads, what does that mean?
Yeah. So if you're on the marketplace, well, there's 3 ways you can get it. Either your account manager can refer somebody to you, like a firm or like another partner or something like that. Those are great ones. Yeah. A lot of negotiating though, which is fun. And I had to sign an NDA one time, which, can you talk about that? You had to sign an NDA? I don't know. You get an email. Like I get like 2 or 3 leads a day that are like, they get matched to you and like 2 other freelancers or partners, whatever. And then you'll get ones where people contact you directly from your profile also. So I do get a lot. The key to actually getting them, and this is going to sound a little stalkerish, but I call them immediately when that comes through. If I see a Wix lead come through and it's got a phone number, I call them and I am trying to make it happen. They don't answer, I shoot them a text. I've got an automation set up. When it comes through, it'll send them an email, tell them who I am, what I do, blah, blah, blah. They don't respond to that. I've got another one. It's delayed automation where it's getting sent out to them 2 days later. Then I have another one that gets sent out 2 months later, because I've gotten a lot of people that they'll deal with a freelancer that is a designer, right? And they may charge them $100 a month. So this is another model that people make a lot of money on. They'll keep it in their name. They'll charge them $100 a month. But I know from working at a business that did this for a decade, it's called the golden handcuffs. They don't own that site. They don't own the content and the images and all those things if you do your contract right. They don't own the domain name, and you can have like a buyout fee or something. That could add up very quickly. You do like $200 a month for a website, and you're talking to them in the right conversation. Like, how long are you seeing yourself doing this? Like 5 years? And they're like, yes. And then you get them to sign up on a $200 a month. I mean, boatload of money for that model right there.
We have a whole bunch we had to crack open. Okay, let's backtrack. So we talked about Legend Partner. That you said each website is about 100 points. And to get legendary, you have to have 5,000, which means you had to have at some point build 50 sites. When you've built 50 sites, then you are able to, is that when you get a Wix account manager, or is it before the 5,000?
I think it's like 2,000 that you can get an account manager, okay. I believe.
All right. So to break this down for everybody, in the past when we've had these episodes, we've had people do a whole bunch of different approaches, from how they network, from how they outreach cold email wise, or even cold email wise automated via just stalking people on LinkedIn. And in Yit's case, just to contextualize things, we don't have the front piece yet, but it seems as of now the huge boatload of where he gets his clientele is from the relationship he has with Wix, because they're passing off work because they know Yitz and his agency can deal with it, and it'll be good for Yitz, and it'll be good for Wix Studio as a brand. So let's talk about the first 50 sites, because that we can't just brush past that. We can't just be like, we killed it all, now we're legendary partners. So the first 50, or even the first 20, because you don't have an account manager yet. And you also mentioned you reached out to one of your, basically a friend in a high place. He left one of his jobs to start something. You knew that he was leaving, so you jumped on that opportunity immediately, called him, hey, I can help you out with this. And he ended up referring you to some friends. Were you referred around to the next 18 sites, or how did the next 18 sites come about before you were able to get a Wix account manager that then is basically almost a sales rep for your agency?
All of them. I've never done any sales or marketing, advertising, nothing. All referrals.
Beautiful. And so when you say referrals, because I think we can say referrals, and then that can turn into, I am just hella lucky and I just sat back, was hella great at Wix Studio or the platform that I was building on. But I think we really have to look at
it's literally somebody that I did a good job for. They like me, and they literally tell a friend.
Got you. Well, I think the type of person is also very specific, because we can't shortchange the fact that your friend was leaving. You knew and saw that they were starting something, and you took the opportunity to immediately call them and be like, hey, I can help you. So I think what people can take away from this is, and we've talked about it in different terms in other interviews that we've had, but you have to be able to, and it's different for everybody. This is just how Yitz is able to take advantage of opportunities. He sees the right person with the right problem that he can solve, and immediately jumps on the opportunity to say, here's how I can help, because I know you're a person who is highly connected, who also has a problem that I can solve, and I'm gonna take the initiative to message you first. So I think we can't sleep on the fact that, yes, referrals, but I think there's an equation we have to look at. There's other magical things, there's magical beans that make this thing grow, and I think it's the right person with the right network, who has the right problem that you can solve. So I think in the back of everybody's mind, like, let's look at that, and then from that, because this person is the right person and has the network that they do, the referrals come. So I think we have to highlight that.
I'll give a secret how I close deals.
Okay.
You ready for this?
We're ready.
So because I have my process, they love hearing that. Like, when I'm done with the conversation and everything, and I've had like people work with me in the past. Like right now I work with this guy, Victor. He gets on my calls. He hears this. We get on there, we talk, we chop it up and figure out what they want, right? And then I've got to get down to business. Okay, so your next steps are really easy. Once you book your call, you're going to automatically get a form so we can gather all of the rest of the information that we have not talked about. When you submit that, it's going to take you to my calendar. You're going to schedule a Zoom call so you can see me face to face, and we'll go over that form and look at some stuff. And that's how that will go. When we're done with that Zoom call, we're going to build that site out to 90%, meaning it's done, but you just haven't seen it yet to tell us if there's any additional things that you would like on there, or some revisions, right?
Right.
Once we do that walkthrough with you, we'll show you how to get to content mode where you can change stuff. We go down that process right there. So me explaining it clear as day makes them feel like I know exactly what to expect on my next steps. And this guy is asking for money up front. I don't take half payments. If you want me to build you a site, you pay me all of it before I touch anything. And I think to me, it's crazy when I hear people doing like 50-50 on their payments, because I've gotten this entire time people to pay me 100% of whatever the amount is. That's yeah.
And what type of because I think that's, first of all, that's awesome that you're able to do that, but I think we also need to contextualize too, like what price ranges are we, like, you don't have to be like, because it varies, but are we talking about like 100,000 one-time payment, or are we talking like, what are we looking at?
It could be $1,500 to $10,000.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. So for me, like, I just say it like, yeah, you pay up front. It's no big deal. If they don't want to do that, then we're not gonna work well together. So a lot of these conversations too, like a big thing that I've learned recently, and I've gotten even more work talking to my friend Duncan.
Shout out to
Everybody
Duncan.
knows Duncan. He's a gangster. So he gets these leads, right? And he's scoping the work. Oh my gosh, I just got a Wix Studio lead. You see my phone?
We see the bright light. We believe you. They saw the video and they're like, time to work with Yitz.
Yeah. Last time I was with Brad, I actually got a lead when I was in one of his deals, and I like muted and turned my stuff off, called it, and like closed it. It was really crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so scoping the work is something I'm doing a lot, and that turns into like the new project I was telling you about, the pro golfer. They wanted website guidance. You know, I charge $185 an hour. I'm like, you want me to spend 3 hours or 2 hours even, you know, for $300 to $500 to just look at your stuff and like make some minor changes on a classic site, when, you know, you could just pay me to have it done with and do a studio site and get exactly what you want. So I'm scoping the work, and I will do like Shank's gym that I just did. He wanted to book just a couple hours for me to clean up his site. Okay, cool. I did it. But I actually just rebuilt his entire site, and he paid me more money because I did that. So I'm like scoping the work and turning it into something that they didn't know they needed. I'll do a couple hours worth of work for somebody, and then they come back. They want me to rebuild their site. You know, I don't turn stuff down, but I stay firm on my prices. I'm just scoping it as my hourly rate is really high. Just get a couple hours from me, $370. Take me like 20 minutes to do whatever they need, and then I have a relationship with them because the turnaround time is really fast. I do more than whatever they asked for because I do it in 20 minutes and they paid for 2 hours. Like, you know, maybe I'll spend an hour, you know, tweaking things and whatever. Yeah.
Got you. So with all this said, because I have a couple things, but I want us to organize it. I know we talked about you utilize your success manager, or basically your account manager at Wix Studio, but also you utilize the marketplace as well. What I have so far is that you're utilizing the marketplace and or I guess, is it all the same? You're gonna have to bridge them out for us, because there's two processes, but at some point they're the same. So there's the marketplace, and then there's the referral from the account manager. At what point do they become the same? Because the same process, because the marketplace, it has automations attached to it. There is a form filled out before they book their Zoom call. And then somehow there's an upfront payment, and then there's scoping. Basically what I'm trying to do is put together a list verbally for the audience, so they can come back and watch, like, okay, Yitz's process is blank, 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 blank. And they can kind of create their own, they have a template from what it is that you produce, if they operate the same and feel like what you're saying vibes with them, and they can just kind of steal your process. So if we can start with the marketplace first, because that's probably where a lot of people are starting. Can you just take us down like the first 5-10 steps of that?
Yeah. So When a lead comes through, like this one right here that I just got, let me look at it.
Yep.
Let's see what we got. That's so funny. It's it's Kaylee. I thought it said Kelly Connolly. You know, like the Republican.
Well, that would be interesting. You're like, hey, we're going to politics this year.
Yeah. All right. So for like this one right here, marketplace lead, they don't know me. It gets sent out to 3 people. I read what it says on here. It doesn't have a phone number. No phone number. I look up their domain name and I try to find a phone number and call them. They don't answer. I text them.
Got it.
The automation is already set up. They can email me on that. If it has a phone number, I'm calling it right then. And starting just figuring out what they need, talking about what they wrote, their additional info, and scoping that work, see where they kind of fall in price range and what I can do for them that day to make them happy.
Gotcha. So are we talking about a form, or you're literally manually, while you're talking to them, just taking some notes, and that will be the form fill-in, I guess?
No, so the form is in automation. So they book the site.
Yep.
And then the form is sent to them immediately after they book for them to fill out.
Got you. So what I'm trying to figure out is, like, when you were calling them immediately, because I think I understand the automated approach. I'm trying to say, when you kind of sidestep and you call them immediately and you're trying to immediately scope the work, are you just, if you're able to get a hold of them, get to scope the work on the call, do you just not send the form and you don't have to do the Zoom call any longer? You just skip those steps?
No, I do it still. Yeah.
All right, then connect the dots for me. How is it happening? What is different than the scope that you're doing on the phone call?
If I'm on the phone with somebody,
We might have lost Dietz, guys. Hold on one second.
I'm back.
All right, you're back. All right, cool.
So I'm trying to sell them. That conversation, I'll take little notes. I'll remember stuff, right? I'll then at the end of that call, tell them how to book. I'll compose an email. I'll send it off to them recapping. If they ask for it, I don't do it barely at all. If they say, hey, can you send me an email just recapping everything we went over? Cool. I'll send that off to them. And I'm reiterating the last thing that I said to them is the next steps, how to book,
Gotcha.
the onboarding form, all of those things.
Got it. Okay. So the call is the intro call. It's the sales call. After that, you kind of qualify them. Then you get into, all right, well, now you're booking not a call, but a website. That's kind of where it's just like you both sides of the table. This is a good client. The client's saying this is a good person to work with. Then booking the site is kind of where they're doing the upfront payment. Am I correct?
Yeah. So then booking is me asking for money. So when they pay, then they'll get an email with the onboarding form. In that form, I'm asking everything about their business. So that's why I don't really take the greatest notes when I'm trying to sell them, right? I'm just trying to figure out who they are. I'm trying to get to know them and get them comfortable, not in like a weird way, right? I love doing this. I like talking to people and figuring out if we can do something together or not. So that's really what that is, like softening them, showing them things I've done, whatever. Yeah. Then we get serious.
That's awesome. I think that's a really great process. You're able to lock in kind of everything you need to know, plus you're getting money before you get started. And I think, what would you, for the people who, like, imagine you're yourself a couple, let's imagine what you're saying, you're talking a year to you. They could probably hear you and say, that's an awesome process, but it's really hard for me, or even if you're thinking to yourself, what would be the hard thing if you're hearing this process at year 2 to execute it? What would make it difficult? What would be some of the mistakes that you can foresee you would make? And what would you share to those people to fix and or not worry about, or to worry about? I know that was a loaded question, but this is a great process, but what can you foresee the challenges be, and how would you band-aid them?
Yeah, so it's great and stuff, like being able to sell people and like get these jobs and stuff. But at the end of the day, like if you want to make a lot of money, you got to be able to like pump them out, right? So if you don't have
Yeah.
that structure of managing the project, that's actually the most important thing.
Hmm.
Because I could sit back here and just take the referrals and just do the same sites like I was before for like this paint company. That's how I like really, I failed to mention that, but there's this paint company that referred and still refers people uh, to me. I do at least like two of them a month for this brand, uh, and that's awesome. But
Yeah.
if I have 12 sites in a month and I'm not managing my projects and my clients properly, it's not going to work. So I would say to anybody like 2 years in, or 1 year, or day one, or like
Yeah.
6 years in, if you don't
Like
have
what
that process, you are
specifically?
totally screwed.
And okay, we don't have the process, but let's talk specifically because I can see around where people, how do we sell somebody on the phone to where literally the next step is they're now paying to build a site. Well, basically, I guess let's talk a little bit about what happens on that call. I know it's an intro call, but there has to be a specific set of things that you're going through on that call for them to feel comfortable enough to, one, pay you money in the next step, literally just fill out a form, and now you're starting to build out 90% of the site. So if we could talk a little bit about like what happens on that call, I think that will fill in some gaps.
Yeah. So think about who your competition is. My competition, your competition, everybody's competition. It's other firms, it's other freelancers, it's the people that are cheaper. The people that come from Wix are usually wanting to spend like $200-300 or $100. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I don't care what they say in their thing or whatever. I try to break down the facts that they can get somebody to do it cheaper for sure, but they're going to do two things. They're going to get either what they pay for, just a great design, possibly, and
Yep.
maybe a bad design with no SEO, no real thought put into it, no psychology, like showing uh, a problem, offering a solution, right? So they can
Yeah.
like actually go down a real flow, and the site actually have good conversions. So they can pay a little bit of money just to have a design, and their site will look beautiful probably, but nobody's ever going to go to it. So they wasted money.
Yeah.
Or they'll do that subscription model, right, where they pay 100, 150 a month for their site and they don't own it. You've got golden handcuffs. You want to leave, like you got to read your contract. Well, like they own it, right? I'm here to invest in your business and I want you to own it. That's why it costs more. Think
Mm.
about 5 years of your business, you paying $150. I'll do the math with them. Like you pay blank thousands of dollars for it. I'll charge you $1,500 and I'll have that site done for you in 2 weeks. Really just take me a week. But we need that week buffer so that, any revisions and just get you launched, right? But we'll do the SEO. We'll do the basic setup of the SEO, your keywords. We'll build out the full site. We'll teach you how to use it. We'll put a resource kit in there. I've got like 14 pre-recorded videos on how to do everything inside of Wix. So they're never lost. You will be set up for success, but you will pay more for it, but you own it. You don't have to uh, one day decide like I need to change my business over to whatever, I don't know, WordPress, Shopify, and then not have your domain name because they own it and then have to pay a
Yeah.
couple $1,000s for it. That doesn't feel right in my heart, in my spirit, in my mind. So that's so I'm using that as a tool to compete with other people that are cheaper, that they are frantically just saying like, I'll do it for $300, and then they don't want to do the rest of it. Like they won't do the rest of it because they didn't get paid enough. They've got to scramble
Right.
for another project.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned a couple good things there. And I also think $1,500, even though we talked about 1,500 to 10, like you're probably able to get, the 10, 15 projects in because that's the amount of value that you're putting in from the design, the UX, the SEO, all those things. And on top of that, your sales skills. I think a lot of people try to push their technical capabilities on a call first versus I think you led with, not I think, I know that you led with, I'm trying to understand where they're coming from, what their challenges are. And from there, I'm just trying to, one, understand them and then repeat back to them what it is I believe that they're looking for from listening. And then that's where the technical skills come in. And once they feel understood, then we're going off into booking the website and now we're building. To kind of sum that up. And I know we're running low on time. We got like 7 minutes, and I was really trying to squeeze this bit out because obviously we're going to have you multiple times if you grace us with your presence yet. But just a quick shout to the those here on Instagram and YouTube. Start ramping up your questions, okay, guys? Because they got a couple things that I want to ask. In the meantime, to give you guys some breathing room so you can start typing in your questions in the chat, that would be awesome. Let me see in the chat. Aiko says, thanks so much for the useful. Go ahead, my bad. I was going to read this.
I was just going to say, ask anything. Like, I'll answer anything. I don't care.
Awesome. In the meantime, I'm going to run through some things, guys, because I still want to. I want to end off my last thing on Wix Studio. I think we talked a great deal about how Wix Studio has been beneficial to Yitz, especially with the account manager and also the revenue share, which is awesome. We'll go into more detail later. But actually, really quick, what is the breakdown of the revenue share? I know you said it's tiny, but what are the specifics?
So it's like 20 and 30% of like premium, like yearly plans is what you get.
Got it.
So you get paid on it like once a year. So if they paid $300, then you get 30% of that if you're the owner of the site. So just remember this, right? So they own the site. I don't know if I should say this. Actually,
well,
all right, whatever. So
no, you can't say it on here, man, because then we'll talk about it later. We'll see if we can bring it back.
Okay.
But if you're skeptical about it,
yeah,
I don't want to be on the hook for saying things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask me in private. I'm around.
All right, cool. So we have a question in the chat. Thank you, Annie. Annie is asking, what kind of questions are on the form you email after the first phone call?
Hey, let
you
me
can
just
give
look
some specifics.
Give me 1 second. Oh.
Yep.
Find it.
And one thing that would be really cool, I know if it takes a little bit of time, maybe you could send a screenshot to us. If you're not in, that's something that we can circulate in the after email. Like, hey, rewatch the thing, but also here's a screenshot of the flow of questions Yitz has on his form. I think that would be an awesome giveaway. But
yeah, I could just send it to you and you can like post it on there. So I'm just asking company name, their name, the services that they offer, their business overview. Knowing your ideal customer enables us to tailor designs, content, and SEO strategies that resonate with your target audience. So I want to know that. I need insights into your existing customers and uncover patterns that inform our strategy, ensuring we attract more of your ideal clientele. I ask them to list out the necessary pages. The keywords that they think will draw people in. I'm asking for the social media links. I'm asking for their email because I use Slack for communication, by the way. I didn't mention that. And they all have their own workspaces in Slack. And then I've got channels for like content updates or questions, help, emergencies, all of those things. And then any additional information you provide here help us better cater to your unique needs and preferences. I'll just send it to you.
all right, cool. That would be awesome. So anybody who's listening, whether you're on Instagram or YouTube, just look out in your emails. If you're not part of the community and you're watching on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, you're probably part of the community. But if you guys want to join the community, which is awesome, we have events like this each and every month with an amazing expert in their field, aka web design, because that's what we're specifically focused around. But we have tons of workshops too. But if you want to learn more about the community, comment, join, and we'll send you an automatic DM to the community, which means you have to sign up. You'll be part of the newsletter. And at the end of our session today, I'll be putting this episode, some notes, and also a screenshot of what Yitz sends to me. Let's see. Maeve, it's a great question. We did talk about a little bit what Trello is, but I'm gonna skip to faux designs here because we did talk about what Trello is a little bit earlier in the session. And we want to try to get to the new things here. So faux design, aka Duncan, best Wix Studio feature for clients and business viewpoint.
What is the best Wix Studio feature?
For you and for your clients.
Honestly, it is a widget that I add onto a site. It is the Google, what is it called here? Let me find the right name for it. Hold, please.
All good. And in the meantime, while we're holding, I'm seeing some questions in Instagram. Bark Moid. I apologize if that's not how you pronounce the name, but it's a username. All right. So Bark, you're asking, how do you find new clients, projects? Apologies if we mentioned earlier. It's fine. We did mention earlier. So all you have to do is if you join the community, you join the newsletter, we'll send you the recording of this. So you don't just have to watch on Instagram. This is going to be recorded. It's on YouTube. And in the middle of this episode, we have a whole like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Excuse me, that's my food alarm. Don't worry about it. But there's a whole 15 minutes.
Go ahead.
Hold on, whole 15 minutes about how Yitz gets clients, what his process looks like, and we'll have him on for more. But great question, glad to have you here, and go ahead, Yitz.
So the app is Google Reviews Pro. So here's a tip on getting clients. I've done this before just to try it out because I saw some wacko on YouTube doing reviews as like the entry level to get them in before you do the site. All right. So I called around my city and was looking at their reviews, like how many they actually have, like their star rating and stuff. And if you actually add this app onto their site, Google Reviews Pro, it generates a link for them to review their business on Google. And then you can send out like an automation email after they do different actions on your site to review the business. And it adds that widget on there. So I called around and said, hey, I can help you, get your rating from 4.7 like up quickly. I did it for somebody, and literally in like 2 hours after I sent out an email, because they had a Wix site to all of their contacts, people started reviewing them and stuff and got it up to 4.9.
Nice.
And that's really easy. That's probably my favorite app inside of, there's actually another one, which is actually not, I don't think it's an app. But basically people can request a quote, and Faux Designs is actually the one that did it, Duncan. And I have a client that uses it on their site successfully. Like they do like really high-end furniture sales, like furniture that's like $5,000, and people request, lower on there. That one's brilliant as well.
I don't think you said the name of it.
I can't remember what the name of it is. I'll find it here real quick though.
And Duncan, I know you're in the chat, so feel free to pop that in, and it's escaping me as well. We talked about this literally last week. And I know it's 2 words, but they're together. So if you can holler at us in the chat, we'll put it on screen real quick.
Yeah, it's not Stores Tool, it's the other one. What is it? I'm not just saying that because Duncan he's my buddy. I'm serious that it's awesome to be able to do that because it's not possible.
I agree.
It is possible, but
there we go. Product inquiry. Let's see.
Yeah, product inquiry. That one's good.
There it is. Thank you, Duncan. And if you guys want to know more about Duncan, what he's done, and how awesome he is, uh, he was our last interview. So if you guys are very much into ecom or you want to get into the ecom space, build for ecom, we talk a lot about that, how to be successful in the ecom space using Wix Studio. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. And also, if you're not part of the community, you're going to want to join, because we have awesome events with Yitz, Duncan, people who are top of line in what it is that they do in web design, and they've got a lot of tips to share with you guys. And they're also in our community. They always share a ton of information, give love, and they're just really giving when it comes to, they've gotten to such a high level, they have time to share their knowledge. So again, Yitz, I want to thank you so much for spending time with us today. Is there any last advice or thing that you would like to leave the audience here today that we didn't really get to cover?
Yeah, for sure. So not, I know this is like a new form thing, but I'll tell you that it was really rough before I got into the community, honestly, like new form. I was like white knuckling it all the time. And now I have like for real friends that, if they lived in my city, I would hang out with them. I would trust them to watch my kids. Like that is a huge missing piece that I had, just working alone and like talking to, most of my clients are women too. So I'm like, like, just it's wild. I'm just saying, like, more emotionally, whatever. It's so, yeah, it was my life just on my own. And just, it was honestly a struggle to stay like positive about some days, like doing this. Like, am I really going to be able to sustain this? But there are a ton of people that, in new form specifically, I've been in other groups too, and it's my favorite one because there's down to earth real people like myself that are successful and insanely smart. If you don't have friends that do this, how are you going to scale your business? I've found somebody that works with me every single day in the community. And also, you have to leave your heart open in these conversations with these people and know that you're truly helping them. They have no idea what they're doing. Like, I have seen over the last 7 years, like where people didn't have a pot to piss in, right? And now they've got like 2 or 3 locations. And I don't care if they tell me thank you or not, because they pay me. That's thank you enough for me. That provides for my family, and I can do whatever I want most of the time, But if you don't have like an actual why you're doing this, it's never going to work out no matter what you do. It doesn't matter if it's God or Allah or, your family or mental health. Like it has to be something like that you're doing this for, not just to make money or be successful, or it's got to be a lot deeper. And it's always been deeper for me. Like I will do anything short of sin to make a deal with somebody because I want to work with everybody. But it's not ideal to work with everyone. That's why they don't all work out. And I just let it go. And, life is honestly really good. Even bad things that happen to me, I feel so much support from the customers that I have. Like they know my life. They know my family. They send me stuff. Like, look at this sweet hat. This is one of my newer sites, Root Cause.
Yeah.
They've got these awesome hats. I mean, people treat me the exact same way that I've treated them. And because I care more about them, honestly, than the sites. That's why they don't trip when, it's not exactly what they want. They know I'm going to get it right. Like I care about what they care about. And that takes letting down my ego and pride and just like listening to them. That's why that sales call, it doesn't seem so salesy. I'm like, if you want to do business with somebody, like I spend $1,500. If I don't like them, like I can't sit down with them and have a drink, or, I don't drink alcohol, but, like have a meal with them and hang and play video games. Like I'm not giving them $1,500. Crazy. Yeah. I'm not giving them $100, So I come in with that, like an open heart, to whatever is supposed to be unfolding at that time, not to make $1 million, not to make $10. Money's never been the driving factor to this. And I know that it's friendship and relationship, because everything in life boils down to relationship. I don't care what anybody says. Everything boils down to relationship. If you have good relationships in your life, you're going to be successful at this. But you also need structure. Like your friendships and relationships need structures and boundaries, right? It's the same exact thing. I built structures and procedures that I stick to always. And that's what's done it, I guess.
I love it, man. Friendships, hangouts, structure. I said it the best.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. But, ladies and gentlemen, listen, this is not the last time you will see Yitz. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him on another time to dive into another rabbit hole, because today we focus specifically on what his 2 years looked like. What were the 1-2 steps, how he became a Wix legendary partner, what his process, how he built his process, what it looks like. What do his forms look like? What kind of questions is he asking his clientele on the phone? What is the process looking like after the phone call? How he's able to get money before he even gets work started. So again, each and every one of these interviews is absolutely different, and it's awesome to see all the different processes for all the experts that we talk to. So again, if this is your first time here, if you guys are watching on Instagram, and if you are new here on YouTube and you've not joined the community, first off, if you haven't joined the community and you're on YouTube, links are in the description to join. And if you're on Instagram, just comment in the live chat, join. We'll send you an automatic DM about the community to sign up so that you guys can get newsletters about our future events, workshops, and challenges. And with that being said, before we go here and we get off, I just wanted to give you guys another reminder. Our prize challenge just started this week. We have a prize pool of over $2,000. It might be small, but listen, this is for people of any size, talent, whatever. I don't know why I put size in there. If you're 5'5", you're welcome. Okay, but our challenge theme this month is Potion Shop. Okay, basically, if you want to learn a little bit more, go to newform.community/challenge. If you're on YouTube, the link is in the description. If you guys are on Instagram and you want to learn more about this, comment challenge. Again, prize pool is $2,000. You have until, I believe, the 3rd week to get it started. But it's fun. It's awesome. There's a challenge reveal event at the end of each month, but it's for people who are a little bit bored with their corporate jobs, just want to get a little bit more excitement into creating something special. For people who are trying to build their portfolio, it's a great way to earn some money but also apply your skills, and it's a great way to learn other awesome next to other inspired designers online. And as Wix or Yitz was saying, our community is probably the best. You get to meet a lot of cool people. He works with, yeah. You get to no more white knuckling for you guys. Come join Newform. All right, but thank you, Maeve. 22nd of February is the deadline. But with that being said, thank you so much, Yitz. I appreciate you, brother. We'll get you on another one, and we'll send you guys if you just popped in last minute. We'll give you a recap email if you're part of the community and some of the resources Yitz talked about in today's session. But see you guys. See you next time. Bye.